what would you give as advice if someone's looking to buy their first vacation rental property?
If something knocks an entire month out, that's an entire month of revenue, which means it's going to impact that owner negatively, not only in their rental, but also their personal lives.
What are some red flags that would tell you this owner is just not a good fit to do short-term rentals?
You have to have some grit in this industry. What is your note on your house? What is the insurance? What are the HOA rules? What are the HOA dues?
As an agent, have you found more institutions that do consider STR revenue?
I can't speak too much on lending, but I would encourage someone that when they're looking at this, look at all of your options.
Now, you mentioned a couple of times that the way you price a property that's a short-term rental is different from how you price residential property in terms of just considering the revenue potential of the short-term rental property to determine how much it's worth. I'm curious to know how you think about that as an agent, because of the fact that yes, you could argue that this property is worth more than the property next door because this one has revenue potential that's way higher than the one next door. But not all financial institutions are going to see that, right? So I'm curious to know how you think through that process of, when you're representing a seller, it's going to be different than when you're representing a buyer, right? But either way, you're kind of having to be in the middle, because even if you're representing the seller, but the buyer cannot get the financing required for the price you're asking, then it's not going to work out. So have you found more? I know there's more and more new programs and whatnot of institutions that do consider like STR revenue when they're borrowing. But is that something you're seeing more and more of, or what's your thinking on that?
So that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother long conversation. But yeah, so with short-term rentals in general, there's investment loans, there's DSCR loans, there's bank statement loans, there's other products out there. You're not going to get them from your traditional bank. Traditional banks are going to be for just a conventional first-time home buyer, and they don't have as many options. Mortgage brokers, it's like going to a grocery store for lending when you work with a mortgage broker. Jojo Quiros and Marisol Quiros are the ones with Banking Door. They have a plethora of products and investors they work with, and as far as who backs these mortgages, and they take a look at all of the aspects of what the revenue is going to be, what the value of that home is based on that revenue, because you're not using it to live in it, you're using it as a business. Some people run it under their business in LLC and S Corps. I can't speak too much on lending because I don't have a license to, but I would encourage someone that when they're looking at this, look at all of your options. Whenever you go to run your credit for buying a home for 30 days, and you run as many times with different people, shop your rates, shop your lenders, check everybody out. Yes, I am partnered with Marisol and Jojo, but they agree too. Like you have to find what works for you. And there's so many options and programs out there. You have to find something that's solution-based, so you can say, hey, this is what my goal is. How do I get there? And I have a team of people I reach out to. I just met with a woman locally named Tammy Firth, and she has a lending company as well, but they do things very different than how Jojo and Marisol do. And she helps a different client than, these guys do. So it's one thing to do your research as a consumer, especially since there's so many options out there. So as a real estate agent, yes, when I sit down with my seller and say, hey, if we price it this way, we're taking our pool of people that we're looking to buy this from here to here, because we're only looking for investors. I have one guy who has a listing and it's extremely high. He knows that, but he's looking for a specific investor. Whether he sells now or 10 years from now, he doesn't care, and that's fine. Some people are like, no, I want it sold yesterday, and here's the listing agreement. So then we're going to price that differently, even if it is a short-term rental. So it's finding that balance, doing the homework, making sure that they know all of their options, and having a strategy going into that for my seller. Now, with my buyers, it depends on their goal. Are you looking to live in it? Is this a part-time rental? Is it a full-time rental? And then getting them paired up with a lender that's going to help them achieve those goals.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, let's say you're working on pricing a property, right? What's your approach? Let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned at the beginning, not a lot of people know what a cap rate is. Like, can you tell us a little bit about the fundamentals of pricing a real estate asset that's a short-term rental asset?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's plenty of, I mean, you can go online and find coaches all over the place that'll teach you this. I encourage you to find somebody who has a license behind it, who either is a lender, has a lending license, and can speak to this. And I always recommend having a real estate lawyer and a CPA on speed dial. If you need somebody, go to a realtor. They probably know a few. But when you're looking at pricing and all of that, it's really about doing the homework. So ROI is your return on investment. How much are you putting in and how much are you going to get back, and how fast is that return going to happen? And can you float everything until that return starts to come in? With short-term rentals, generally your first year, you're riding the line, or you're going to be dipping into the red a little bit. Your second year, you flatten out. Your third, fourth, and fifth year, you start to make some money, and you really make money on them when you go to sell them. It's a buy and hold strategy in that atmosphere most of the time. You're going to have those one-offs and flukes. And I'm sure someone's going to say like, oh no, I have luck all the time. Well, you're just a little savvier than most people then. But it's really a buy and hold strategy with those. With cap rate, the very most simple way. Now there's a lot of factors you can get to an exact cap rate, but a very generalized one is how much is the property earning divided how much did you buy it for? If it's earning $10,000 a year and you paid $100,000 for it, that's a 10% cap rate. Anybody out there promising you cap rates at 10% and don't have actual rental revenue as proof for that specific property, they're selling you a dream. 10% is like the golden goose unicorn that you chase after. Every investor I talk to, tell me when you find someone with 10% cap rate. I'm like, sure, you and like another 1,000 people. But an average rate in these markets, because they're in such high demand, is between 6 and 8%. That's a solid investment. Again, run the numbers, do the math, find somebody proficient in it. I have a calculator I send to people so they can plug their own numbers in and figure out what they're actually receiving and what they're getting, so they can do their own math. But it's really about knowing what you can expect. Because if your short-term rental, your secondary property starts to go under, what does that affect? Your first property, your home life, everything out. You're stressed about everything. And again, a trickle-down effect. So making sure that you know what you're getting into, what those numbers are, and that they're factual. I will ask over and over again for rent rolls from the website, not an Excel sheet. That's great. I'm glad you keep it by hand. I don't trust it. I need to see what system and what booking systems you're using and get those numbers from there. I want to see the claims, the taxes. I want to see all the maintenance, any of the fees you pay to the third-party companies. Do you have a pricing platform? Do you have a PMS software? Property management software? Like all of those costs, I want to see everything when my buyer goes to the table to talk about buying a property, because they need to fully know all of the costs. Otherwise, it might look real good on paper and it might be earning, gross $100,000, but at the end of the year, they're netting negative $10,000 because they got to pay out more than they're getting back. So when it comes, there's a really good coach in Corda. His name's Josh Cadillac. He has a whole class he's got like 30 classes, but one of them is about how to understand cap rate, ROI, how to understand mortgage rates and amortize, non-amortize, all that stuff. He's certified in it. So if anybody's looking for that, I would trust that as solid knowledge. There's a lot of people out there that say they know this stuff, but make sure you get somebody that's like certified and qualified. Because if you make a bad decision, that's your money. It's your livelihood. So
yeah, no, for sure. And sometimes I hear property management companies and operators complain, so to speak, about brokers setting expectations that are unrealistic. To your point about the revenue potentials and whatnot. You're in this interesting position because you're getting to set the expectation, but then you also are the one on the back end managing it. So I'm sure you must be very conservative with the way you approach your underwriting and whatnot, because I mean it's not like you're just helping them find the property and then someone else will manage, and it's now their problem to deliver on your promise. It's like your promise, but you're also responsible for delivering. So how do you ensure to be conservative? Like, what does conservative mean to you, right?
So when I pull a projection or I'm looking at numbers, especially if it's a property that has never been short-term rented, it's finding others in the area. And I do have a couple of softwares I use to lean on. I go to Airbnb and VRBO to see what the general rates are, but I'll reach out to those owners, especially if it's like an individual owner doing it himself, hey, can I see your rent roll? And I'm honest with them, like, hey, I'm trying to get this number for somebody and I don't know what it is, or they've gotten some outrageous info about it could make 50,000 when I think it's only 30,000. I don't know if that's their total rental rate or what, revenue or reservation rate. So I'll go and chase down the information I need, but being conservative, I'll say, hey, the first year you're going to make a little less than you expect because you've got to put it a lot into marketing. Nobody knows you exist until you put it out there, right? It's like a new product in the grocery store. The grocery store has thousands of items. They have them on the end caps. They give them at discounts. They do buy one, get one free. You got to get creative on that end. But as far as being conservative, it's, hey, this is what we could make. And then this is what my goal is. Like, there's always a stretch goal. Like I said, I've been in sales since I was 18. I always set a minimum goal what I know I can achieve. And there's going to be a stretch goal that I'm aiming for because I want to, in my own head, break records. But you've got to, again, it goes back to doing the homework. I try to pull comps at least 4 to 5 properties around it that are short-term rentals. There's some areas that are popping up that are great for rentals, but never had it happen before. So it's more, and that's a very straight, honest conversation with the seller or buyer. Hey, this is what I think we can do. Again, it's not guaranteed. This is what I plan to do for execution. This is my strategy. And do you want to still go forward with it, or is long-term rental better for you, or is this the right investment for you?
Mm-hmm.
It, I will tell people, hey, these are the properties I pulled it from. This is where I got my numbers. This is where I got my math. If you ever get a projection from anywhere in the country, any company, ask them, how'd you get to that number? Where'd you get the math? How did you, what actuals did you pull? Or is this just guesstimated based off of, a website, a pricing site or something? Or did you put it into, I don't know, a property management software that's online like Vacay's? They're actually usually pretty spot on. They're one of the few that I would say, yeah, I'd go to their site and plug in my address and get a range. The wider the range means the less information that's out there. I had someone upset with me yesterday because I wouldn't give them an exact number. I can't do that. For one, the range was 75,000 to 250,000. He's like, why? I was like, I don't have enough information. I can't get, there's a house down the street from you that's similar that's making 275. I don't know how long they've been renting it, how they're getting the rentals, if it's for, mostly weddings and stuff, or are they only doing it to family, friends, and businesses? Like, I don't have all the information to give them a good, accurate number. And again, it comes down to just really research.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I'm curious too because given that you are an agent, a broker, um, a lot of property management companies, they look at brokers, agents as potential partners for referrals in terms of just trying to grow their management portfolios. So I'm curious to know, like, I know you're in a position where right now you're both the broker agent as well as the manager operator. But if you, let's say, you were just the broker agent, what would you look for in a management company to incentivize you or encourage you to refer business their way? Because I'm sure there's a lot of operators that would approach you, and yes, there's the financial component of what kind of referral fee they pay, but I'm sure there's more than that. So what is it that you would say to a
Absolutely.
management company to really position themselves as the company that agents are going to want to send business their way?
I believe in transparency, and I always introduce myself, especially when I get a referral. I had one today, and I said, Mr. John, like, look, I am a real estate agent as well. That makes me really an expert in the property management because I understand both sides. What your property needs to look at. If you called me today and said, "I want a list tomorrow," it's got to be list ready too. I'm not here to be a real estate agent. I'm not acting in that capacity. I'm solely acting as your property manager. And all of my agents that refer me things know that their business is going to go right back to them. I've done over 1,200 contracts in 3 years and never once taken somebody's business. And I would hate for somebody to do that to me. So we are going to give them your business back. And that's how we build good relationships around here. We're in the Panhandle, so it's the South. It's very small. Destin alone has about just under 15,000 residents. In summer, it jumps up to 1 million with all the tourists, but it is very small around here. And everybody knows everybody. So if I'm going around as a property manager stealing business or handing it off to my buddy who does real estate so I can get a referral fee out of it, it's going to be known. And I don't know how other people function like that. If that's how they get by in life, it's not my place to judge. We all have a higher power, believe it, and I just don't do business that way. And so we put it in our contract to make it very clear and open to everybody. Hey, we won't steal business. You were given to us. You refer over to us because of this. There is a financial component where we give a small referral fee. Almost every single property management company out there does. And if you're an agent and you're looking for somebody that to refer your people to, how fast do they answer the phone? How fast do they respond to the emails? How quickly are they to give you not just the projection, but how well in depth do they know those projections, the numbers, the area, what makes or breaks that rental, what history do they have working in the area, or who do they know to get that information from? Because there's areas I don't know everything about in Destin, but I know people to call and are able to reach out to them and get some information. It's because at the end of the day, as a real estate agent, whoever you refer to, it's not about the referral fee to put in your pocket one time. It's about the longevity of your business, and are they going to trash your business name by falling apart or letting people down? So that's when I go to. That's what any of my vendors were, especially on the real estate side. My roofers, my painters, my carpet people, everything. Like how are they going to take care of my client when I hand them off? And are they going to give them back to me, or at least say, hey, give Taylor. I always say I don't have to be the only one on the list, but give me a chance to talk to them at least, and let me at least try to win my client's business back. So we have a built-in give back program with ours, and there's a few other ones around here that are very trustworthy. I would highly recommend as well because they know they do the same thing because they've given me my own business back. But that's something as a real estate agent you need to be wary of. Who are they partnered with? Are they a property management that's run by one of the big real estate agencies? You're not required to have a broker's license here in Florida to do short-term rentals. So most other states you are. So do people get to farm out of the property management system or not? Because that's another thing to look into. We don't farm like our system. My real estate is with Coldwell Banker, completely separate business, completely separate CRM. My clients don't touch this side, and we keep everything separate on purpose because we want that transparency and that trust there for everybody that's involved with this.
Yeah, that's interesting. So basically, you're interested in making sure that the client is gonna be well taken care of. Basically, that it's not gonna be just something where you pass it on and you know they're not
Good luck.
they're not yeah good luck. And then the other part, which again this is the new perspective for me because I'm not an agent, but of course it makes sense. You're thinking, well, I'm referring you the business, but if this owner ever sells, please let me know. That's an interesting perspective too.
Well, because I get a lot of, I mean, once someone buys their first investment property, the first one's always the hardest to get into and to understand around all the bumps and grooves. Once you buy one, I'll see people buy another one every year for a while, or every other year. I have a really good friend locally, Ryan. He's taught me a lot of it from the owner side, investor side. This man's a genius, and I think he has like 22 properties that he owns, maybe 28 properties in various states, and he's younger than me, but he understands it really well. And he said, like, the first one was hard to understand. And I learned there's a bunch of ups and downs, but it definitely, you got to trust who's, taking care of your property. Because we all know these are huge investments. Most people make one property purchase in their life. That's the biggest purchase they will ever make. But when you start making 2, 3, 4, as a real estate agent, you want that residual business. You want someone to say, oh, I'm buying a house, I'm calling Taylor. Oh, I'm going to add another property, I'm going to call Taylor. That way, you have your business still going, especially when we get into a down market like that we are in right now. It got extremely slow this year. I had a whole 11 months of no real estate sales. I mean, I saw probably 1,200 homes that time, but nobody bought, nobody was selling. Like everything was just standing still. So, yeah, it's really important to know who you're partnering with and to make sure that they're going to, do right by your name because it's your name that's out there.
Mm-hmm. Now, on the because you've been in sales for so long, I'm curious to know for the lead generation and owner acquisition side of the property management side of things. Do most of your leads and clients come from either you as an agent or your partners are as lenders, or do you also have efforts to go after owners that might already be renting out their property as short-term rentals and what's your sort of owner acquisition strategy?
My partners give me nothing. No, so no, I don't feed off of their pipeline at all. If they have something come up and someone asks, they do, because they do try to be very transparent. Like, hey, we have all these businesses. They don't just have the short-term rental; they have many other businesses and ventures. Mine has all been through networking and organic growth. I think organic growth is such a overused term now because what is organic? but I network a lot. Last year I went to and calculated it was 142 networking events locally. I was sit
142.
It's possible. I have no life, but it's possible. I also have a very active son who's hardly home, so I have the bandwidth to be able to do that.
Wow.
But it's some of these events are only 1 or 2 hours. Sometimes it's just me popping in, giving a quick talk about something, or just going to meet people. I've gone to events where I'm like, yeah, not my scene, but at least I dropped my card off, met a couple people, figured out what they need. So when I have a solution for them, I can call them. But the networking is huge. Cold calling does work. I mean, people. I love when I talk to new people who want to get into sales. Like, oh, I called and didn't answer. Like, yeah, they didn't know who you were. Like, you got called 9 or 10 times, so they're going to want to talk to you. It's just the way it is. Like, it takes 10 to 12 touch points to get a hold of somebody. We don't really do any mailers. I'm from California. Don't want to waste paper for treats. I will say that's the hippie side of me, but it's a lot of social media marketing, and it's honestly not. I will call lenders, title, other property managers, because sometimes they have owners that they don't want to work with or that aren't a good fit for them. Say, hey, this is what we're doing. Let me know. I called all the big ones around here when we started this one. Said, hey, this is the areas I've covered. This is what we specialize. I'll take people that only need 2-3 months of rental and they want to live in it the rest of the year.
Mhm.
Where I know they don't have the bandwidth to do that, and vice versa. So it's really just making sure everybody knows what I'm doing, and then reaching out to people. I don't do a whole lot of text marketing. I do twice a month email marketing, because I know my emails go insane. So I stopped looking at half that stuff unless I know something's supposed to be coming through. But it's calls and getting the referrals from other people, and knowing where these owners are. Like, do they all hang out at a restaurant in the area? Go in there and try and make sure I put myself in front of them. Josh Kalak was my mentor for a while, and he had said it's not their job to remember what you do. It's your job to remind them what you do. It's not being annoying. It's the world moves so fast now. There's so much information thrown at us. You need to keep reminding people. Bath and Body Works has the best marketing out there. They email me 4 times a day. I literally think I need bath soap today, but I have it plenty at home. But because I see it so often, I'm reminded so much. I'm like, oh, that's a really good deal. I should go buy it. Same with me. Everybody here knows that I do property management. Everybody knows I love short-term rentals because I don't shut up about it. So that's really where it comes from. And
Hmm.
then having the knowledge to back it up too. Make sure you're not just saying you do something and you don't do it.
That's so interesting because it just demonstrates that it's not about whether something works or something doesn't work. It's about whether you're willing to put in the volume of
Mhm.
activity required to make it work. And I mean, what an example! 140 networking events. I'm impressed.
So we moved here and I knew no one. Like, I in California. I mean, I was in the North Bay. I worked up and down the coast. My family is well ingrained in Southern California, down in LA and Palm Springs. Like, people know, and I have some brothers and sisters. Like, there was a lot of us. I have family in Texas. Like, we're kind of spread out. But here, I knew nobody, absolutely no one. I remember calling my grandma and whining to her about I didn't have any friends. I didn't know anything besides work. She goes, "Get out and join a club." That woman is 92 and goes to more clubs and events than anybody else I know. I did 142. He doesn't stop. But she said, go to every club you can find, networking clubs, not like nightclubs, but go join a activity club, and you'll meet people who like to do the same stuff as you. And so when I started doing that to meet friends, I was like, oh, I can do this with work. Like, I can go to these networking events that also are in real estate, crop management, have something to do with the wheelhouse I'm in, and I'll learn to do that. Now, when I was in California and running stores, I was not the person to go to networking events. I was quiet as a mouse, didn't want to know anybody, didn't want to talk to anybody. I was running stores, so they'll come to me, right? Well, outside sales is different. When you're building a business, it's different. You have to get them to want to come to you. So I meet them at where they are. And I do a lot of volunteering outside of here. I had nothing when I got into this business. Like, we were negative a lot of months. Like, I was, paying one bill one month, but then double paying on the next bill next month because I got to minus this out. So that's where my hustle comes from, is because I have a kid and how to provide. But it's not that it's impossible or you can't, or you have to have it, thousands of dollars to get started or get into this business. You just have to have the willpower, and you really got to want to help people.
Wow, that is something. That is something. Well, listen, Taylor, this is inspiring. I love that we ended on this inspiring note of like just like, hey, everything is possible if you put in the effort. Um, what would you say in terms of where you're seeing what you're seeing ahead of you? What are you excited about opportunity wise, industry wise, as far as the market goes? Like what would you tell people that are perhaps interested in investing in your destination and maybe want to get in touch with you and whatnot? Like what do you see ahead for this sector?
I see next year as being a lot stronger than it was this year. Again, election year always makes everybody hesitant on what to spend their money, when to spend their money. So anybody's got a short-term rental, at least in my market down here in the Destin Panhandle and along anywhere in Florida, I see it going really, really well next year based on what I know. Now, the next few weeks and that big decision in November that might sway a few things, but for now, I see it looking really good. A lot of my short-term rental people I've been talking to, we're flipping them over to midterms. We're seeing more need for that in the area because we get a lot of travel nurses, military, that sort of thing. So this market, even in 2007, 2008, when we had the huge market crash, some areas were crashing by like 80%. We crashed by 12%. So when you're looking to invest in an area, this is a solid area to invest in, regardless of all the noise and what somebody says on social media. I will hands down go toe to toe and tell them that they're wrong because they know they're wrong because numbers don't lie. Math is math. It's 1 + 1 = 2. So I can tell you here is a solid area to invest in if you know the numbers and you have, the grit to be able to deal with short-term rentals.
Mhm.
I'm excited for the company we have because we have options to partner with realtors. We're helping get education out there. And the best way to defeat fear is through education. And I'm seeing people break their generational wealth gaps that they've had and be able to have something for their kids and build a future and legacy for their families. That's the part I'm excited about because this is we do things a little bit different. We have a cap on our commission. We have some opportunities for people to get free management services through other, our ancillary products and stuff. So there's just a lot that we have going on that's going to help people keep their investments.
Hmm. And where can people get in touch with you? How can people connect?
Well, thanks to Miss Taylor Swift. I no, my handle on Instagram and any of my socials is Taylor and Destin, all one word. It's Taylor Labno Realtor on Facebook. My direct line is 707-477-0649. And my email is taylor@vacaymama.com. I am pretty reachable. I do have a VA that if I'm after hours, I can't keep up, but I do get back to everybody as fast as I can. We have a solid team here, and they know to pull me in if there's ever any questions or they're not sure. No is never an option. It's always a hold on, let me see and see what we can do about it. So, or come down to Destin, hang out. There's plenty of happy hours and networking events to go to. I'll bring you.
One of the 140 that you that's awesome. That's
Yeah, I
awesome.
have one after this actually. So
Oh, look at that. Look at that. All right. Never stop, huh? That's awesome. Well, listen, Taylor, thank you so much for taking the time. Really appreciate your time here. And yeah, we'll stay in touch.
absolutely. Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
All right. Have a good one.